Hi there, Nigel Saunders here of KW Bonsai. Well, summer's definitely at an end. My tropical trees will be coming into the plant room probably in, I'm hoping 2 to 3 weeks. Usually mid-October we start getting a chance of frost at night, and that's when I start bringing my trees into the plant room. I don't mind them out in temperatures of like plus 5 degrees Celsius. They seem to be fine. I would rather them outdoors than in the plant room. It's easier to water them outdoors. Less chance of pests and insects on them. Even though they're kind of go dormant and they don't grow much when they're in those kind of temperatures. I still think it's better to keep them out till as late as possible and then bring them into the plant room. When I bring them into the plant room, they kind of get a second spring. It's more humid in here. They get kind of warmer temperatures, and yeah, they think it's spring, so we get kind of a growth period when I bring the trees in from outdoors. The last video we did of this tree was in December 2015. So the tree's been pretty well left to grow all summer. I did do some pruning at the top. It was getting really long on top. But basically no pruning and no styling all summer. The tree grew fairly well. We had a really hot summer and the tree was in the greenhouse. I was hoping to get more aerial roots, but I think the temperature was just too hot. The plant grew, but not as vigorously as it could have. We're going to prune all this long leggy growth back shorter to get more ramification and bring the tree to a more compact form. I want to start by picking a height for the tree. A height where the long leggy growth starts to form. So I want to bring it back somewhere in here. Looks to be a good height. So about that kind of a level. So I'm going to start by pruning all these upright vertical branches. Again, you can leave it a little longer and then slowly prune it down in height also. You don't have to pick your final height the first time. I'm trying to do directional pruning whenever I can. I'm leaving green foliage on the branches. I'm not pruning back down to just bare wood. And we'll see what the height looks like at that point. Some branches don't have any foliage lower down. I'd like to reduce the height of this branch. So I've taken it down as far as I can, leaving some leaves, but I think I'll have to cut into some wood on this one because it's sticking up too high. So I'll prune back into some old wood and we'll just see what happens. I've got the apex of the tree pruned down in height to the right level now. I'm just checking, can we go lower? And should we go lower? I think we need to. If we look at the structure of the tree, we still have a lot of leggy growth up top. We could reduce it down probably to this level of this branch right here. So I prune everything to that level. I think our height will be quite good. And it may mean pruning back into some old wood on some of these upper sections. But these upper sections have the most vigor, so it has the best chance of branching out and recovering. I'm happy with the height of the tree at the apex. So now we're going to start rounding our profile on top, getting rid of all these branches sticking up and getting a nice umbrella shaped canopy. Again, we're always pruning to outward facing leaves to get all the branches fanning out from the center of the tree. I've got the tree pruned down in height and I've rounded the canopy now. Anything sticking up out of that rounded profile is being removed. And now we've got to go in and look at the structure of the tree and sort out any branches growing the wrong directions, crossing branches, and little suckers that are growing up in the wrong places. So there's a sucker down here that's grown that can be removed entirely. There's a branch here going towards the center of the tree. We're going to shorten that to prune it to an outward facing leaf. We've got one branch here that divides from 1 into 3, so we're going to cut the main part of it out and keep our 2 branches off to the sides. Shorten that a little bit too. So we kind of, did our rough profile pruning, and now we're doing all the detail work. We're looking at the back of the tree now, and on the back there's 2 branches coming out from the same spot on the trunk, and neither of them has a very good direction. They both kind of shoot off to the side instead of coming out in a nice radial pattern. We may have to wire one over as more of a back branch to straighten it out a bit. And we can also do some pruning to help the appearance of the branch. So I think we'll reposition the branch so it comes out far out the back like this. So we'll have to hold it in place with some wire until it sets in position. So let's do that. For the wiring of this branch, I'm running a wire up through the drainage hole in the pot, and I've got it secured at the lip here. So we'll be able to pull the branch using this wire, guy wire. So I'm going to wrap the wire around the end of the branch here. I'm going to kind of get it in position and just see how it looks. That's just a loose wiring there. All the branches on this tree go kind of up. They're not cascading branches that go down, so I don't want to pull this branch down too far. I just want to pull it over more. So I have to be careful not to pull it down to so it looks unnatural. I'm going to try my wire down lower here. Let's see if I can pull it a little more from the base. I think that's a little better. It keeps the upward sweep of the branch, but pulls it over from the base more. If I used really thick wire on this branch, it would the branch would grow and it would start growing into the wire and leave some pretty ugly wire marks. By using the tether, I'm hoping just to have one wire mark, or if I can pad it, maybe even hardly any wire marks. So that's the reason I'm tethering it instead of wiring the whole branch and bending it over. That seems to be working fine, pulling it over the guy wire. So now I'm going to put a rubber pad just from a bicycle inner tube between the wire and the branch so we don't get that wire digging in so much. So there's our rubber in place. We'll re-pull our branch over and we'll just give it a twist to hold it in place. That seems good. On that branch we just pulled over with the wire, we want to do some directional pruning on it. We've got a lot of growth coming off to the left hand side here. So that has to be removed. We've got one branch growing into 2 here, so we're going to remove this one. And we're going to reduce the size of the branch to fit in with the canopy shape. So we're going to prune it off here and here. Just pruning some of this foliage in the area at the back here. That other branch at the back, we have 2 parts to it here. We want to wire them a little closer together and get them growing more upwards into the canopy. We don't want one branch in the whole tree hanging down like this. So we've got to do some wiring and get those a little more together and upright like that. I'm just wiring the branches now. Pretty easy to wire them, they're all bare. And as we get out towards the tip here, we'll just go between the leaves. If we do get wire marks on this branch, it's not quite as bad because it's in the back of the tree. The wire marks do grow out eventually. So we'll just keep our eyes on this branch. And so now we're going to position it. So I wanted to wire them a little closer together and up into the canopy, making sure they're coming in a radial pattern from the center of the tree. We want the style of the branch to match all the other branches on the tree. That looks pretty good. I'll turn it around so you can see the front now. These back branches have been fixed now. You can see they integrated with the tree nicely now. We do have a branch at the front here. That's a similar problem. It needs to be wired and brought up a little bit. So let's do that next. I've got these branches wired up now. So from the front view here, I'm going to position them. They don't need a lot of adjustment, this branch. It's a small branch. I think that'll do. We're back to the front view of the tree. The left-hand side of the tree is a little fuller than the right-hand side. So over the winter, I'll be placing this side of the tree facing the window, so it'll get more vigor and more growth on this side of the tree, and a little less on this side. So that's a trick you can do in the winter is, you know, if you want to fill in one area of a tree, make sure that side is pointing towards the window. It'll get the most light, and you'll get the tree filling in lots of foliage and growth on the side of the tree facing the window. I didn't repot the tree this year. I wanted these aerial roots to toughen up a bit, get a little woody before we repot it. So next summer we'll be repotting this tree. I do like some of these wild aerial roots. I think they'll be a really nice feature of the tree eventually. There's a few that are growing out over the lip of the pot that we've got to, you know, we'll be trimming back when we repot it. A thick one at the back here. But they're developing nicely. I didn't get a lot of new aerial roots this year just because the temperature was too high in the greenhouse. We had a really hot summer, full sun every day almost, and the temperature was just a little too hot for ideal plant growth. I noticed when the cool weather started coming, I started getting more aerial roots growing out. So next year I'm going to try and keep the greenhouse a little cooler. I don't like opening all the doors and that because I let all the humidity out. So I'm going to try and maybe lower this tree on a lower bench in the greenhouse so it's not up high where it gets all the heat. Our final work on the tree will be to remove some of the foliage from the more vigorous side of the tree just to balance the vigor of the tree out more. So there's a lot of big old leaves that have probably a couple of years old that we want to remove. That's it for today. Nigel Saunders of KW Bonsai. Do something green today. Plant some trees and shrubs in your backyard that support your local wildlife. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.